Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew DSME once again. Welcome back to another video game review. This time it is going to be on Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. That's right, this game is finally out. It was announced all the way back in June of 2017. After the major disaster that was Federation Force on 3DS, this was made as an apology. Too bad it took 8 years to actually come out. But thankfully, there have been some really good Metroid games to come out before then. But now this is pretty much the main course. And it's hard to believe that it took till the next Nintendo console for this game to finally come out. But hey, you can also play it on Nintendo Switch as well. So yeah, now we can finally talk about it. Deadly sharpshooter Silux has finally caught up with the renowned bounty hunter Samus Aran after an unexpected accident in the wake of their clash. Samus finds herself transported to Viros, a mysterious planet once inhabited by an ancient race. Now she must explore this planet, all while battling the strange creatures that inhabit it, to find her way home. And if you played the previous Metroid Prime entries, you know exactly what you're in for. You are in the perspective of Samus from her point of view as you shoot your way, trying to fight off against creatures while also upgrading your arsenal of weapons, while also getting more weapons. Well, not particularly weapons, just different ways of fighting off against bad guys, whether it be power bombs, power missiles, or of course upgrading your energy. It's exactly what you would expect. And because of how good Metroid Prime Remastered for Nintendo Switch was, I had even more hope that this game was going to turn out fantastic. And after the 8-long-year wait, was it worth it? Was it worth waiting till Nintendo made their next console for this to be finally worth the wait? Kind of. There's no denying that this is an extraordinary looking game. I mean, the graphics. I was blown away. Like, I played a little bit of this when I went to a Walmart about a week before the game came out, and it was playing on the TV, and I played a little bit of it. I was blown away with how good the game looks. And this is Nintendo Switch 2. This shows what the Switch 2 is capable of. And the best thing about it is, it has two modes in terms of the game's performance. Either 4K at 60 FPS, which is something that hasn't been done, at least not a whole lot, or 1080p at 120 FPS. So it was pretty much a win-win when it came to performance and graphics, because it is absolutely stellar. This is one of Nintendo's best looking games, or at least one of the best that I have seen. And it never slows down when it comes to its frame rate. It manages to run at a stable, buttery smooth 60 FPS, and I was just blown away. The way Samus's suit looks, to the cutscenes, it feels so cinematic. One of the most cinematic that Metroid has to offer in terms of what it's going for when it comes to storyline or character-driven moments. So there isn't too many characters that you could write home about. It's nice to know that you do interact with some people, even though sometimes they can be annoying, which I will get into it later. And of course, if you're familiar with Metroid Prime's gameplay, it's something that you're easily going to learn. There are different control schemes, like in terms of auto aiming or, moving with motion controls, just like, when Metroid Prime came out for the Wii, and it managed to take innovation of that. So it really shows how much customization you can do when it comes to a control scheme. I mostly just shot at, auto aim and all that. And plus, there are multiple difficulty options, just like in the remastered version. Though, even though I did play on casual difficulty, it could still be a challenge from time to time. So I was just begging for another energy tank once in a while. And of course, when it comes to the actual level design and when you do explore, it looks absolutely stellar. The music is top-notch, as well as some of the creatures you're fighting. Yes, you're going to be fighting the same enemies from time to time, but some of them can give you health back, some of them can give you missiles back, and you're really going to have to, boost up your missiles, and as well as your elemental powers, which have their own, separate arsenal. And you're going to be exploring this world a lot, as the game takes advantage of an open world perspective, similar to something like Breath of the Wild. Though that was kind of one of the things that I was a bit nervous about, because going into this game, knowing the fact that you were going to be exploring a desert-like setting, I was worried if this was going to feel, empty. And unfortunately, the world is kind of empty when it does come to exploring. You do get a bike, which is really cool, and it controls pretty well. You can shoot other baddies with it, but oftentimes when it comes to exploring the world, it feels like an absolute slog to get through. Like this world, while there are areas you can explore, specifically with the main areas, it just feels like an absolute drag when it comes from going from one area to the next. You can't even fast travel. And for a world like this, you would assume that there would be fast travel, maybe when you go to a save point, but none of that is really here, which is kind of disappointing. It's almost like Skyward Sword's open world sky or whatever, as it's gorgeous to look at, but ultimately feels like there isn't too much to interact with. And another thing about this game that you're going to be doing while you're supposed to be getting 5 keys in order to get to the final boss, one main thing you have to do in order to get to the final boss is fill up this thing called memory fruit. And the only way you can do that is by getting these crystals that are scattered throughout the land. And you have to get these crystals and fill up the fruit all the way to the top. And while it's nice that you can get upgrades from, getting the fruit, the thing is, it feels very tedious. Because once you get these crystals, you can't, farm them out. You have to go from one area to get a good amount of crystals as well as over to the next area or whatnot. I mean, thankfully, the more you boost it up, it does give you, a tracking thing where you can see crystals more often without having to feel like you have to continuously roam around the world. Because that's really it. It's nice to have a bike, and the bike is cool and all, but it's just the world itself is one of the game's biggest weaknesses, when it should have been one of the game's biggest strengths. But another big weakness that this game kind of has is its characters. Some of them can be irritating. Like, the first character you interact with is Mackenzie. And no, not this Mackenzie, because this game would be a perfect score if it was. No, this guy starts coming along with you for a little bit, and well, yeah, he can take care of himself. When you actually get to the main hub, the main camp area, he just will not stop talking, and he always has to point out what you're doing. Like, oh, you're leaving? Oh, you can morph into a ball, you can do this, you can do that, and it was just all I was just all oh, come on, shut up. I didn't hate him. It's clear that he wants to help you out, but oftentimes he has to always state the obvious, even when you're out of the world. I mean, it's nice that he can give you hints from time to time, but he just got on my nerves, and I was all dude, are you trying to be like Navi from Ocarina of Time? And I cannot believe how many Zelda references I brought up, but I mean, there are other characters you can interact with, but none of them really felt all that interesting. Some of them honestly felt like they should be in Halo. In terms of them appearing in cutscenes, again, it looks very nice, and some of them do mean well, but I didn't really find anyone all that memorable. Except for this one robot. He was easily the best companion out of all of them. He was really cool, and it honestly makes it feel like more what Metroid should have been going for, rather than just talking with these other human characters. And while there have been other human characters in previous games, none of them were particularly memorable here. You're only really going to care about playing as Samus. And do not worry, this is not a Metroid Other M situation where she talks. Nope, it's only the NPCs that talk. And that's a good. Another thing that kind of makes this game kind of feel like a grind is when you do get new power-ups, like new elemental weapons. You have to get these chips that are scattered throughout various locations, and you have to send them back to Mackenzie, and then he'll give you the upgrade. Why can't you just, I don't know, get the actual upgrade while you're exploring the world, rather than just having to get a chip just to send it back to one guy so it'll give you, I don't know. Of course, Metroid has been known for backtracking, but the backtracking in this is probably one of the worst things you can do in this game. And it's not bad in particularly that it's hard. It's just how much of a slog it feels like, especially since there's no fast travel. Now, I know I'm getting to a lot of the negative here, but I don't think this is a bad game. Quite the opposite. When you actually do explore these worlds, like the actual worlds that you're supposed to be exploring in order to make progress, it is absolutely stellar and shows what Metroid is capable of. And the puzzles too, some of them are very unique. You get new abilities that allow you to do various different puzzles in terms of telekinetic powers or using your bombs to, use with the puzzles. And in terms of, exploring to get, better items, whatnot, or energy tanks to help you out before the final boss, that's truly what Metroid is known for. The exploration in terms of the actual worlds is a lot of fun, even though it has some of the worst backtracking in terms of going from the open world location all the way to the next part of the open world. So, yeah. It is a little bit disappointing that the new ideas that the game has doesn't feel like, it always manages to work in the way that it should, especially with how many great franchises have gone to open world, like Zelda, of course. But I wouldn't really compare it all to that. I just feel like there could have been a lot more to this open world, but it oftentimes feels empty. But enough of that, I'm going to get more into what I liked about the game. Other than the graphics and the gameplay, the bosses are also very superb. Yes, the final boss, spoiler alert, I know I've been spoiling a lot in terms of the gameplay, but you should kind of expect that at this point because I don't know what's a spoiler when it comes to gaming. So, yeah, but while the final boss is technically a boss you fought before, it is much tougher and has a different form before, going to like the final phase. So, it's something that I appreciated. It definitely still provides challenge. It still manages to provide a hefty amount of challenge as well as puzzle solving that, Metroid Prime has been known for. But hey, the opening cinematic was great, and the last boss I thought was great as well. Not as good as the final boss from the first Metroid Prime, but then again, I haven't played Metroid Prime 2 or 3. I'm just waiting to see if they're going to port those games for Switch. Because if all the Pikmin games can come out for Switch, all the Metroid Prime games, there's plenty of room to add all the Metroid Prime games as well. So in the end, guys, I can definitely say it is still a strong new installment in the Metroid Prime series. But in terms of new Metroid games in general, I would still say that I enjoyed Dread a bit more than this. There are still a lot of strengths to this game. The graphics are stellar, it always manages to run smoothly, the gameplay is still as fun as it was in the previous entries, it still manages to provide a lot of exploration, as well as some very chilling moments from time to time, as well as some really fun bosses and terrific music. It can feel like a chore to explore the world from time to time, but not enough where I just didn't want to engage in this world anymore. Some of the characters can be annoying, but nonetheless, this isn't quite the masterpiece that I wanted it to be. But nonetheless, there is still plenty to work with here. And I'm happy that the game at least exists now. I was expecting for something more beyond my expectations, but nonetheless, I still had a really great time playing as Samus once again. It could have been far worse, but it definitely could have been a lot better. So yeah, it is a good game. But if you still think $70 isn't worth it, then you can just play the Switch version, which is $60, though you might not have the best quality when it comes to Switch. I don't know, because I didn't see the results of the Switch version, but I would assume that it would still run well, since this game runs super well on that, but I don't know, but I was hoping this would make my top 10, but I don't know. We're just going to have to see. Because the top 10 best games list is coming very soon. And with the Game of the Year awards coming out, the list is going to be coming out really soon. My list anyway. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or maybe Blue Sky. Links are in the description. And I'll see you guys later. Word out. Oh yeah. One more thing, actually. There is one more game I'm going to review before doing my best games of the year list. And no, not because it's eligible for the list, but the exact opposite. It's just, all the games that I've reviewed this year have all been positive. So I'm thinking of spicing things up a little bit. So yeah, the next game I'm going to talk about, I'm going to warn you. When I was playing through it, it hurt both my mind and my eyes.